they do. So it's not just, technically it's not just text that can go up, it can be images. Essentially everything that's being displayed is just an image from a software point of view. A couple more pictures there of what it looks like. So it's not my first year. Back in 2002 is when I first did computer control. It was back in the AC Triac days. So it was all on breadboard, having to solder it together. So back then I would have had absolutely no idea it would have all been full colour like it is today. And it was just basic on or off and nothing in between. So, that was the controller. It was all speaker terminals for quick connections, and it was all laid out on the wall. Probably looks a bit messy, but it was all that breadboard sort of thing. But having it laid out like that, sorry?
I bet you still got it in the garage there sitting there, have you?
It's in pieces. These speaker terminals are very valuable, so they're getting recycled over the years. So, but that layout I like because it's all, you can see it, it's not buried in a box, so when you've got to try and troubleshoot it at 2 o'clock in the morning, makes life a bit easier.
My first display was copied off your website back in 2002.
Oh yeah, I had a computer controlled lights site. I think it was on IINet for a while, and it was on my other NetBootList website. I think it's still around. It's been a while since I looked at it. So then yeah, last year 22,000 LEDs, I think it was 2,300 elements in LSP, and then yeah, obviously we know the maths on how it multiplies out with RGB. So there was the PIX88, a P2, a D2, and 327 channel ray boards. So it was a bit of everything. That's been built up over the last couple of years. RGB was 2011, I think. What are we up to now?
14.
Yeah, it was third year. This will be fourth year. So the matrix, it doesn't look that big on the roof, but it's actually the length of the car. So that's it on the garage wall while I was testing it. And then yeah, I also had to get myself a website address for the portal. Even though it wasn't on the internet, I wanted it to look like it was on the internet, so I had to get a website address that would actually fit really clearly within 136 pixels. So that's why I went for that address. And there you go, that's a size reference against the car. So it's 4.5 meters plus another half a meter on the end by the time you do your interconnects and waterproofing. That's it on the ground, going together. So it's just this, similar to the LED strip here, but it's a single pixel 5 volt. So yeah, 10 rows of that. And there's space that's on the garden mesh, like we've got over here as well. If I was going to do it again, I'd probably space it out more vertically, because when it lays flat on the roof, it's like the sign writing they do on the football fields. When you're looking directly up on it, it looks a lot narrower than what it does. So I'm still deciding whether I'll rip it apart this year and stretch it out, or maybe just put another 10 rows of.
You just pull every second one out and just add it to the bottom.
They're zigzagged.
Yeah. Okay.
Bummer.
Yes.
So that's up on the roof with the camera trying not to fall off. So yeah, it lights it up. Still would like to know if you can see it from a plane. Didn't have anyone land on the house, so maybe not. So yeah, it's another name up there.
A couple of years ago, I had a helicopter hovering over my house watching it.
Yeah.
Really near an airport.
Yeah. It's got to be a good sign.
The rescue helicopter came flying around and it just stood there. Just away from the house, just stood there. Just
I hope nobody was waiting to be rescued.
No, I can't even land.
So last year was Lightshow Pro 2.8. My custom matrix controller software, which we'll talk about in a sec. Had a web server and a database server. And I also had a wireless access point, which is this fella here. I had a router acting as a firewall, which had its own network config on it. And then we also had standard networking, things like DHCP, DNS, IP tables, Blackmagic. So unless you're a networking guru, probably doesn't make much sense. But it's basically doing the Wi-Fi captive portal like they do at McDonald's and hotels. So when you connect, if you try and go to google.com or whatever, you get redirected to their terms and conditions to accept the license agreement, which is essentially just a web page coming off their own internal server. So then I thought, aha, what if I write my own website to interact with the people? I can take a input from them and then do something with it. So, block diagram time. Traditional setup that we've seen here is you've got your sequencing software and it's sending E131 packets to the lights or the controllers themselves, whether it's DMX or whatnot. That's the basic overview. So then I thought, what if I put a computer in the middle and intercept those E131 packets and modify them on the fly? So then we're basically, it's a sequencer to the matrix controller software, and then we modify the packets and then forward them on to the physical matrix controller itself. And then we've also got a database server connected in to it to keep track of what's going on. A web server, which the actual end users are getting the web pages from. And then we've got our firewall and wireless access point. So because I'm traveling at the moment, I've got this is running virtualization software on the laptop, so I've got the server and the firewall component as a virtual system running off the laptop, as well as Vixen and the matrix controller itself. And I also had another computer set up with a projector, which was doing displaying feedback to the end users as well. And there's another processor to generate artwork on the fly. So yeah, we've got a database to keep track of all the names. Obviously, being a open text system, I didn't want people typing in any choice or naughty words, which they tried. So there's enlist the names in the database, and I've got 150,000 names in the system. So if it doesn't recognise it, it won't go up. So there's also moderation.
How many names you come across that weren't recognised?
Heaps. I could not believe it.
Some
I've got
weird names?
a lot of parents can't spell. Yeah, I thought 150,000 names, I'll have them all in the system. No, there was stacks. A lot of New Zealand names too, I should have got all them. I obviously didn't compile enough of those because, yeah, I got unstuck there a lot. But it was easy enough to, yeah, they can go and submit the names that's not recognised and I can go yes or no or ban them from there. So basically then LSP or Vixen, whatever sequencing software, it's just sending me a grid of colour info, and then the names are just a monochrome image. So then I can merge the two together and then get the output, as you can see on the matrix over here. So it basically looks something like this. So LSP, it's just got the colour. We've got a monochrome image, which is just the words. So in the database, I had 150,000 names. I also had 150,000 GIF monochrome images, pre-scaled, ready to go. So the software wouldn't have to sit there and try and work out how to draw letter A or whatnot. In a name, it's just an image, just to optimize the software. So yeah, it's merging the two together, basic Photoshop sort of skill, and then it spits out the color image, and then that converts it to E131 to the matrix hardware. So that's what my little program looks like. So at the top is our masking image. Then we've got our color info merged together from the sequencing software. Then we've got some manual controls, so we can do different fonts and do manual generation or some test images. So if I was using my tablet, I could remote desktop to this sequencing computer and play around with it if I wanted to give it a demo. And then we've also got some timing functions, because what would happen if nobody was waiting, like at the moment, it's just going through a loop of like the old name. So I think that's on half a second at the moment. That's adjustable. And then if a new name comes along, it'll do that for 15 seconds. If you've got Wi-Fi on your phone now, you can actually connect the systems live. So it's just the Xmas lights. Yeah. And then yeah, we'll see if anyone can get themselves banned with the choice words. You'd be surprised what people tried with the names. Unfortunately for Gay and Gayleen, there was a few combinations about there they had to get taken out. To their disappointment. So that's another picture of it on the roof. I think I've already said that. Yeah, they're just monochrome images, and then yeah, 150,000 different files. Took my i7 quite a bit of time to spit them all out. I didn't sit in Photoshop and draw them out manually. It's all done via ImageMagick K, which is a nice little command line Photoshop style program. So you can generate a massive batch file and kick it off. You're trying to break it, are you?
There's only one person here that understands any of that.
Hey, there's only one person here that wants to do that. Hang on, no, about half the room.
Oh, well, we're going on. Fortunate. Oh, well, maybe it might inspire someone to do it. What went up?
Use that one.
Yeah, you can remove that one.
Anyway, still, we'll do it again.
We'll see if it spits it back out again. So yeah, that's basically. Well, there you go. 150,000 names. I didn't check every single one of them.
You have to be
The other version of that, the longer version, is blocked because that was tried. Anyhow, that's the what the people get on their phone or iPad or laptop. We saw every device turn up, so they can type their name in. And so yeah, the Wi-Fi, it's not a normal Wi-Fi access point. It's done as a captive portal, so I'm faking the entire internet. No matter what website it tries to resolve, it's going to get my server in return. And because it's Wi-Fi, the DHCP, when it gives out IP addresses, the networking people, it's a Class B address, so I've got 65,000 people can have a go, and I'm giving virtually a 1-year DHCP lease, so they're going to get the same IP if they come back every time. So if I block somebody, they're going to be stuck in there forever in a blocked state, no matter what they do to their phone. And yeah, I can also tell who comes back the next day for my own statistics. And yeah, again, if the name's not recognised, it won't come up on the screen. And yeah, if it's not recognised, they can request it to be added. But again, there's also logic in there, so if I keep trying to ask the same name, it's only going to accept it once, so it's pretty indestructible. There's also queuing in place, so one person can't sit there and constantly type names into it. It's keeping track of how many times somebody's had a go, so it's basically if you've never had a go, you'll get a go first, and then the people have only had 2 goes, 3 goes. Pretty simple to do. I've also got kilowatt hour meters on my switchboard at home, so measuring power consumption for solar and consumption usage. So that plugs into an Arduino, which is a sort of another project. But I was also tapping the info out of that so people could see in real time how much power I was using, which wasn't that much in the scheme of things. System's also set up to automatically turn on and off at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock, whatever I set it to. So we can change the same, we're closed now and whatnot. And then I had a full admin section to manage approvals and requests and block people and add names manually and whatnot. We're going to go forward. Oops, hang on, I think I clicked twice then. That's obviously a slide I didn't finish. But yeah, we talked about that. That's what my mission control looked like. So it's pretty much permanently set up in the garage using the slat wall shop fitting paneling. So some of these boxes are permanently fixed and hardwired to distribution points throughout the front of the house. And then yeah, the show computer and the power supplies are under the bench. That's another controller, one of the Ray boards set up in a not so waterproof case. But if you put a bucket over them, they're pretty waterproof then. And that's the end. And I'm on Facebook. Yeah, if you want to see more photos of it and whatnot. So, any questions, or is anyone still awake? Anyone?
To the public? Or
To us? Sorry?
Would you release the software to some in this room?
It's pretty buggy, and it's like I'm not a programmer, so yeah, there's no sort of plans at the moment to release it. But yeah, it's not so might in the future.
Instead you just tease us.
Maybe inspire everyone to of what's possible. Yeah, if you don't want to sleep for a few months, for you try and troubleshoot it and whatnot.
That's impressive.
It's
So
different.
So when you say you're intercepting the Lightshow Pro stuff,
Yep.
right? So what you're picking it up off the Ethernet cable, you're inspecting the packets for the
Yep, okay. Lightshow Pro, instead of pointing it to the IP address of the controller, I'm not using any multicast in this. This is all unicast. So Lightshow Pro points to the IP address running that matrix controller software. So it's basically seeing a stream of colour coming into my program. And then my program's also reading the database that knows which name, image to pick, and it merges it together. And then it...
So Lightshow Pro is sending the background colour
Yes,
settings,
yes,
and
just
you're
the colour.
masking it.
Yep.
Right.
So it's just basic bitwise sort of
Yep.
anding the each pixel together to work out whether it should be black or
So yes, he hacked Lightshow Pro.
colour. So yeah, Lightshow Pro thinks it's none the wiser. It's just spitting it out to this computer. Then the computer's then rewriting the
Turning off the pixels you don't want.
yeah, it's just
Masking,
zeroing it
That's
out.
all it is, yeah.
And it's generating new universe data to go to the actual J1sys controller sitting on the roof.
And that's all documented in the protocol.
It's pretty simple to work out. It's like 127 bytes of header, which has got the universe number in it, and then after that it's just DMX channel data. So it's basically, if it's, you can send like one DMX channel, it's only going to be 1 byte, or it's going to be another however many bytes on the end of it. So it's pretty simple once you work out.
And you use Wireshark all it out, and then basically.
Yeah, I think I did use Wireshark, and I had a look at the J1sys code for the Vixen plugin, and process of trial and error, and then wondering why it didn't work, and the colours were backwards because I was 1 bit out. Yeah, to go from there. But it being all UDP as well, there's no connection info, it's pretty much, you see it on the port, grab it, and then do whatever with it. So I'm taking all of that, putting it into arrays, because essentially an image is just an array, doing the calculations, and then another process to run to convert that array back to the pixel info, or as a universe, because it's 8 universes for my matrix. So I've got to look up and say like pixel whatever should map to universe 100, channel 27 or whatnot. So that's all doing that on the fly then. Alright.
Very nice.
Alright, we'll
No worries.
do the lucky door prize.